Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Fuente and Meerapfel present Meet the Professor. Hello, world.
Hey, Jeremiah, what's up?
Wonderful. How was your week, Jose?
The week has been good. Getting prepared to travel to be with my good friend Johan next week in Austria. We got like 6 or 7 events set up for that. Then I go to Czech Republic to be with Hans and our dear friend Jerry. It's funny because I told you the story. They called me up, to do events Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And all of a sudden they call me back and says, Mr. Blanco, how are you? We have a problem. And I go, oh, shit, what happened? I hope it's not COVID or some shit. And he says, we double booked your events, and events that were supposed to be with 25 max people were up to 40 and 50. Are you willing to do 2 events a day? And I go like, let me see. And I said, but of course, because that's what I love to do. So I'm really excited. I did enough traveling last year, but not what I'm used to. But this year we're starting off very strong. A lot of events. You saw what we were doing with our friends in Vietnam, and they're really hyped up all about it. So, virtual, it's been a blessing, and we've met thousands and thousands of people during these last 2 years. So we're very happy.
Very happy. And it's so fortunate that things are starting to reopen. We're able to travel again and hug people and kiss people and actually spend time face to face and smoke to smoke. It's beautiful.
Definitely. And again, as we've done in our last 2 shows, our prayers are with our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. I hope there can be some kind of peace talks about this. I said it in the last show. Putin should be smoking a Cuban, and they should, our friends in Ukraine, smoking an Opus, some nice coffee, some nice rum, and let's get back to business, world peace, and let's hug each other. It's easier said than done, but I wish it could be that way.
Amen. And what a better week to discuss world peace when it's the week, when it was the day of the International Day of Women a few days ago.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And so once again, to the mothers of all, to the ones who carry us, to the ones who put up with us, to the ones who don't kill us, to the ones who make everything possible, happy International Women's Day. Actually, I turned around to my wife the other day. I said, it should be Women's Day 364 days a year.
And one day for us.
We should be celebrating the fact that they're around, because without them, we would have a big problem.
It's funny you mentioned that, because many, many years ago, and I'm old, I remember.
Old? What are you talking about? Since when are you old, Jose?
I remember one of my mother's sisters that, they all talk, and she was fighting with one of her cousins and said to her, a father could be anybody, but mother could only be one. And I've had always that in my mind, the respect that we have for the women, and also in our industry.
Jose, is that what Daddy told you? I'm very sorry.
We'll leave it at that.
Well, you have Numbnuts 2. We're missing Numbnuts 1. Are you willing and ready?
Don't tell me he's around.
Well, unfortunately for you, I think he is. Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, Numbnuts 1.
Hey, guys, what's up, man? It's all good. Jose, yes, you're right. You were not old a couple of years ago. And I take responsibility. Jeremiah and I, Numbnuts 1 and Numbnuts 2, have really made you age quickly in the last year. But especially I've noticed more the last 6 to 3 months, how just rapidly you're just deteriorating.
Carlito.
Not only physically, mentally, visually.
Carlito, you know what the problem is? I have to say it. I say it to people when I meet them. I said it to a ton of people doing Pro Cigar. I'm going to say it again, because I want these 2 special guests to hear today. Let me tell you something. I'm 5 years older than you, and I look 10 years younger. So that's the formula. So
wait. Maybe it's 5. We got to. Maybe it's 5 and 5 5/8, or maybe close to 5 7/8. Let's not try to stretch the information in me, okay? Anyway, no. I admit one thing. you have a lot more energy. You have the enthusiasm and everything that's necessary. You're an amazing human being, and we're very proud to, to share the same world with you, man. You're a great guy. Sadly, no one's listening. So you know what? I hope that you have it recorded so you can show him.
Well, let's get
Jose,
on with our show.
I hope you appreciated this moment here, because I mean, I've never heard Lito say anything remotely nice about you.
I don't want to even go through the nightmare. It was 10 days in January, and now 13 days, and I'm still numb about the ball busting. So, but I had a good time with him. He takes care of me, and you take care of me when I'm in Belgium too. And I'm very grateful to be working with both of you. I don't want to get into that because I get too emotional.
Good man, Jose.
Gracias. Let's
All
go,
right,
Jeremiah.
Without
Jeremiah
further
and
ado,
I are another. Listen, I don't even want to go there about any judgment on our characters, but Jose, you're a good man.
exactly.
Hopefully, Jeremiah have a time. We don't have time to change. There's just not enough time left. But maybe we could adjust a little bit, and every little bit counts.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we're going to bring our two guests of honors. We're going to get a pair on, and this is going to be a very, very special pair. Jose, please make the introduction.
It is our pleasure, our honor to have a couple that I've known for many, many years, two brothers that have brought a lot of excitement to the cigar industry. They've done so much for it. My good friends, Yamilet Calviño and El Señor Eric Calviño. Welcome to Meet the Professor.
All
right.
Hello.
Thank you, guys. Thank you guys for having us on.
Welcome.
Thank you.
This is awesome.
All right,
It's
now
very apropos, right, on International Women's Day week.
Yes.
The
So
lady
true.
here.
all right. So before we start the show, I need to say two things. Number one, this show is broadcasted out of Basel, Switzerland. If you're sensitive in any which way, shape, or form to language, to imagery, or anything else, it's time to close your computer or your tablet or your phone and move to something else. Secondly, and this is more towards our guest today, Jose sometimes forgets, repeats himself, or may ask you questions that you don't want answering. It's okay. Carlito and I are there to protect you. All right, let's start the show.
Sounds good.
Eric, do you see the shit I have to go through with these guys? You've seen the show all the time. I mean, it's
nonsense.
I'm really thinking about, maybe going back to work for Presidente Beer, because I just can't stand these two.
There's always room over here in the Cigar Snob boat, the Cigar Snob raft, the Cuban raft that is Cigar Snob.
Again, first of all, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. I've known you guys for many, many years. So I'm going to start off, because it's always ladies first. Yamilet, do you remember the first premium cigar you ever smoked?
Yes, I do. It was in 1997. I had a flavor cigar because I wasn't sure I was going to like it. And I smoked it for like a month, maybe. And then I said, well, you know what? I need something better. And so a friend brought me a cigar. I smoked it and I got hooked. And then I would smoke it with the family all the time, playing dominoes, you name it. And then the rest is history.
So yes,
and Eric?
With flavored.
Yeah.
And so it was an Oliva flavor.
It was
like
flavor.
a vanilla or something like that. And she kept smoking that, but she realized quickly that, she wanted to try what everybody else was smoking. Non-flavored.
What was the hype about?
So yeah. Then she went to premiums and hasn't looked back ever since.
That's it. I can't smoke.
What was your first cigar?
What was
Eric?
It? It was
No. He's asking me. Yeah.
Eric.
So it was also an Oliva. So the background is that Jose Oliva, the Oliva and Calviño families, we've been friends for a very long time. And so it was actually other than the cigars that I would kind of steal from my grandfather, right? My first real cigar that I smoked as a person who was getting the cigar, right? It was the brand new Gilberto Oliva line, and it was a Lonsdale, just a Connecticut shade, Ecuadorian Connecticut shade, and made in Nicaragua at the Plasencia factory back then. And man, I loved it. That day, I'll never forget it. It was at a party at a friend's house, and Jose was there, and he's like, "Listen, my dad's line just came out. Let's try it." So I didn't really know how to properly cut and light. I had just kind of stolen my grandfather's cigars up until that point.
That's
And
around the same time, no, 97,
yeah.
98.
And so that day, I smoked that cigar. I smoked it to the end, and I'll never forget. I drove home from the party in second gear the whole way. Right? Like I was a guy that would go like from point A to point B. How fast can I get from point A to point B? And that night, I drove home like just cruising in second gear, and I was like, "Wow, this could actually be good for me," you know. And from that day forward, I haven't stopped my love affair with cigars. So
No,
that's
definitely.
kind of how it started.
Eric, you, before getting into the cigar industry, advertising the magazine, all that, you were, from my understanding, a high-tech guy for the banking industry. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was a database programmer. So enterprise data warehouses and data marts and things of that nature. And so I worked for some of the biggest banks in the world as a consultant. I spent years doing that. In fact, that was my first foray into like writing. So I wrote for these technology magazines, mostly database, very boring stuff if you're not into technology. But I loved it, and I still do. But yeah, I was a database programmer at Goldman Sachs, at Deutsche Bank, at Fidelity. I mean, it was basically you name the big bank, and we did work there. And not only banking, we also did at Piper Aircraft, at Sikorsky Helicopters, Hilton Resorts. It was, I mean, we ran the gamut. We wrote programs for all kinds of industries. But that's when I started to really smoke cigars, because I was traveling again as a consultant, and so I would just find a cigar shop in the nearest town wherever I was, and I didn't know anyone other than the group that I was working with, and we would always kind of like, it was like a mash group of guys that you didn't know each other, and so I would just go to the cigar shop and just pick out a different cigar every night, enjoy it. And that's really when cigars started to be like my companion on the road. So that was, like I said, those years, that like late 90s, early 2000s, that's when not only were those my first, years of smoking cigars, but that's when they really started to become a daily thing for me, and a love affair, and again, a companionship, a daily thing. So I have fond memories of those years.
Jamilet, what did you do before working with your brother?
I was nursing. I did nursing for like, I want to say 7 or 8 years. But in the meantime, I still did Cigar Snob. So I would see patients during the day, and then I would take a change of clothes. And then if there was an event or anything, I would go and take pictures at the events. And then I also would go to, back then was IPCPR, not PCA. I also did the festivals, and that's where we met. I did the Nicaraguan and the Pro Cigar. So by the time, I want to say like 8 years ago, Eric needed more help in the office. And he's like, "Hey, are you ready to quit nursing?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I guess. It's a lot of paperwork. I love my little old people, because I dealt with the elderly." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm ready." And he's like, "All right, well, switch over." So I did. And then that's it. End of story. Now I'm happy. All I see is happy people.
I've heard it from a couple of people that Jose Oliva had a lot to do with the name of the magazine. Tell us a little bit about that.
He did. So the real background, before Cigar Snob, I started a website called Casa Calviño, where I sold cigars, and I had a private label made by Oliva, and so I started to investigate, how can we grow this website? And back then, the idea was to create a catalog. So I started to price out catalogs and things like that. And so I quickly realized that I didn't want to do a catalog. I didn't want to do the website. What I wanted to do was a magazine. And so I realized that one night, and the next day I shut down the website, and I told my dad, "Oye, we're going to launch a magazine." He's like, "Okay, great. What do we know about magazines?" Nothing. I don't know anything about them, but I'm pretty sure we could do it. And he goes, "Okay, well, what are you going to call it?" Good question, right? I didn't have an answer for that. This was like I came up with this idea on a late night drive, and so I talked to Jose the next day. Like, "Wait, I'm going to launch a magazine. I'm going to work on a magazine, and we're going to create a magazine." And he goes, "Dude, I have the perfect name for you. I'm on the road all the time. And all these guys in the cigar shops, the guys that really are into like the cigar geeks, they call themselves cigar snobs." And I was like, "Well, that's a perfect name, right? Because it's not going to be a snobby magazine, but we will be snobby about cigars. And that's the only thing we'll be snobby about. We'll be easygoing about everything else. But when it comes to the cigars, we will be snobby." So I was like, "Thank you. That is a perfect name." And so, yeah, Jose was the one that gave us the name.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say we owe obviously the entire Oliva family, but especially Jose Oliva, we owe him a lot for his introduction to both of you in the world of cigars. Number two, I'm just wondering if you ever got out of second gear. I don't know, from your first experience. And Jamilet, we talk about experience and stories. Yes, I know you were in the medical field, and I know what great work you did. Because I was in Miami there's an echo. Somebody has their speaker up. I was in Miami for a big event at the Biltmore in Key Biscayne. And I had just gotten off a plane and I got a serious back attack. I mean, really bad pains. I couldn't walk. I had to make a presentation, hug and say hello to people. And I remember Manny Diate, your brother, said, "No, John Millet's a nurse. Let's call John Millet." And I remember he insisted he was going to give you a call to give me an injection and everything to relieve the pain so I could continue the night. And I said, "Bro, let me tell you something. You're not going to call John Millet. I'd rather suffer in pain for the rest of my day before I got to pull my pants down in front of John. That will never happen." And it didn't. But I just want to share those stories with you, because both of you are more than someone that's so important to the industry and gives so much and so much of your love and time, personal time. Has nothing to do with the magazine. I see both of you all the time. People love you, your friendship and everything. And I just want to say congratulations to both of you. I was just speaking about the magazine with Aaron Sigmund, who is here now. Everybody knows Eric Sigmund. And so he's here. And I was just talking about it. He goes, "My God, the evolution of the magazine and everything." I said, "Man, I was just with Eric and I was telling him how beautiful it is." That's not how it started, Eric. You know that. And we go back a long time. But I'm telling you, I'm very proud of both of you. And I understand that your sister is really into premium cigars. The kind of gifts you guys receive in cigars from the entire industry, it's enough for several lifetimes.
It really is.
Yeah, thank you both for joining us and joining the show. You both are very special to all of us.
Thank you, Galito. We're honored to be part of the show. We're anytime, that. I mean, you guys, all of you know that. Anytime you want to do anything, you don't have to do anything other than, hey, get on. We'll get on at any time. So, thank you, Galito.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it.
Let me. We got to go to this next question. So Jose Oliva gives the idea. Cigar Snob comes out, and I remember first. I think at the beginning it was Cigar Snob South Miami, was it? Or South Florida?
South Florida Cigar Snob, yeah.
South Florida Cigar Snob, and then it has been evolving and evolving. Tell us a little bit what was the thought behind that? Because I know. I'm going to bring up a conversation later on that you and I had when I started to see the magazine all over the place. But tell us a little bit about the thought behind the evolution from Cigar Snob Florida to Florida and so on.
So when we first launched, or when we first started, that what I mentioned earlier, I got back from that trip and I said, we're going to launch a magazine. We had the name now. And my dad thought, let's not. I wanted to go right out of the gate national, and my dad, who's my partner, who's our partner in the business, he said, well, we shouldn't come out national. Like we don't know enough about this to produce a national magazine that everybody's gonna like. How about we keep it like local? Let's start local, and then afterwards, if we want to grow national or international, then at that point, let's do it. But for now, let's start local. And that was a wise idea, right? I'm always, again, getting from point A to point B as fast as possible. And so he kept me in second gear initially, to bring back Carlito's point. And so the idea was, let's launch a magazine that covers all of the local events that go on, and kind of shed some light on them. Because at that time, this is, by the way, for those of you that are kind of lost in a time frame here, this is 2006 when we launched the magazine. So in that mid 2000s, there was a ton of events going on. I mean, every week there was a different cigar event.
Tell me about it.
And the event would happen, cigar, and you guys all know that. But the cigar event would happen at a store. Rep would come in, or the principal of the company would come in, do the event. They would sell some boxes, and then on to the next store. And that's it. Like, the event was over. No one ever heard about it. It was kind of like just a flash in the pan. And so when my dad said we should do this locally, I thought, okay, well then let's shine a light on these events. That way the cigar company gets more than just that one time flash in the pan of having that event and that sales event, and then they're out. Let's give that some life so it has some legs. So we started doing that. And my sister, my brother Charlie, my brother Oscar, Ivan, who also works with us, we would go to every event. We would split up. Okay, so Thursday there's an event at this store, Friday there's an event at that store, Saturday there's two events, and we would all split up and cover events, like an army of little, like, just amateur photographers taking pictures at events. At one point we had to hire other photographers to do events, and then it became too expensive to continue. But anyway, so South Florida Cigar Snob really focused on our ratings, those photo shoots, a story or two, and then having those events in the back of the magazine. And those events turned out to be a huge attraction for people, because people wanted to see themselves in these events and wanted to see themselves on the pages. So for those first few years, the events were like our lifeblood, right? And that's how people got to know the magazine. So the events worked to give us content for the magazine, but they also were sort of a PR thing. Like, a store would have an event, and then they would contact us, hey, are you guys going to be at my event? And so it gave the magazine a level of importance that we needed at that time. And so we start the magazine now, South Florida, and then people started to buy subscriptions from out of state. And so, by the way, we did South Florida, then we grew it to Florida. We also did Tampa and Jacksonville. But then we started to get subscriptions from Georgia and from New York, from Texas. And so we started to get all of these subscriptions from out of state, and we thought, okay, well, then I think this format that we've got going on will work on a national level. So that's when we dropped all of the local monikers like South Florida or Florida, and we just became Cigar Snob at that point. And then it's grown from there. What was your question?
That was what year?
That, like, 08 we dropped
08, right?
We dropped that. Yeah, so 06 and 07 we were South Florida, then Florida, and then 08 we just dropped the name and went national.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I don't remember if it was in 2006, 2008. I know we always bump into each other. We were talking about the magazine and all that, and I remember I told you, Eric, this magazine is different, because what I'm seeing is a lot of consumers that you guys are going around, and it doesn't matter if it was a buy three, get one free, or whatever the event in the shop was. And that person would look for the copy of that magazine, take it to his office, show it to everybody in the office, show it to the family, show it to the wife, show it to everybody. And it brought an excitement in the industry that none of the other magazines covered. So I think you guys came up with something that was very, very, very unique. And still today, it's not as much as it was before. But I bump into people said, hey, look, I was in Cigar Snob at this event that you were there, or so-and-so was there, and this is how the things are going. So now it's getting to the people, and the people are really, amazed about. It's the power of showing somebody I'm in a magazine, and people love that.
It still has value. It's crazy, in this world where everything is going digital and people say there's no value in print. In the cigar world, there's still tremendous value in print, right? Not just because we do a magazine, we also do a website, we do a podcast, we do all that other stuff. But the magazine is still the thing that gives you importance, right? Like when you hold a printed piece of paper that's done well, and here's a copy of it, right? So when you hold this thing, and no one has to tell you that there's an importance to it, right? Because someone went through the trouble of producing this massive, very highly produced product. As a consumer, that there's an importance to it that isn't the same importance that you have when you just like scroll through your Instagram, right? That doesn't have the same importance, even though you took the time to take the picture and you did all that stuff. Doesn't have the production value that a printed magazine has, and that doesn't even have to be explained to people. Once you pick it up, you're like, this is a thing and it's important. Sorry about that, guys.
No.
So
totally agree. Yeah, I mean, let me ask you this, and the question goes for both of you. You guys have been covering IPCPR, now the PCA. As media, what would you like to see change, or what do you think the PCA has to do? Because you guys talk not only with all the companies, you guys talk with all the reps, you talk with a lot of consumers, maybe more than anything else. What do you think the PCA has to do to make the show better?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, so I think that, one of the, here, can you reply to Victor? So one of the problems that I see with PCA is a lack of excitement, right? There's no excitement in it anymore. It used to be, you guys remember this, right? We would all go to the show, and it was the one time that the entire industry got together in one place, and we used to have these great parties, and everybody would look forward to these parties, and so it's tough to put or to bring it back, right? But that excitement is what isn't there now, and obviously the fragmentation and I don't know how industry we want to get in this show, but that the fragmentation of the cigar business obviously affects that, right? Because now not everyone is in that same place at the same time. And so I think that's just on the surface without getting too deep. It's excitement. You don't have that buzz and that excitement. And when you walk around the show floor, when the show isn't as full as it should be, it's as we say in Spanish, tirando un cubo de agua, a cold bucket of water on the show when that excitement isn't there. So I think that's one of the things that I would like to see change. Obviously, our business is in my side, or in our side of the cigar business, it's about excitement, it's about buzz, it's all of those things. So when you're a hammer, everything is a nail. And so for us, excitement and buzz and fun content and what everybody's talking about, that's what we do. So that's what we see missing, obviously. If you ask a cigar company, not a Fuente or one of the other big ones, but when you ask a mid-sized cigar company, they're going to tell you it's sales, right? Like it cost them too much to make this sale. But in our world, it's excitement that it's missing. I don't know if that helps.
Yamilet, we have seen in the last... Oh, okay, Carlito. Unmute.
No.
Carlito, we are more than happy to listen to you, but you need to unmute yourself because you're speaking like this.
Oh, okay. I needed to mute myself because I have a little puppy that keeps me company, barking and biting my ankles. But anyway, Jose, I've always was taught by my
You have you have a little puppy biting your ankles. Jose, I thought you were in Macedonia, not in the Dominican Republic.
But something that Eric said, and Jose, Jose, I don't want to interrupt you because you are the professor. But I was taught by my elders and family always to respect your grandparents and those that are much older than you. And I don't want to interrupt, but I felt that I had to really, not agree with Eric and his position about the PCA, but to share my feelings. I totally agree with him. What makes these big events that we go to? It's the excitement. It's the hugs of people. It's what the PCA or the RTDA once was at one time. But it's a catch-22, and I think we all know that. If the PCA, which gives so much to fight our rights and gives so much for legal fees and is fighting everything and trying to do the best they can, if the resources are taken away from them, like the way it has been happening with tobacco, that's just not caring or not showing up, not understanding. It's not about a deal. It's not about going to buy a deal. It's about supporting a family. A lot of people don't like to go to funerals or maybe even weddings, but you're going there. Maybe you don't want to see your family. I guess there's plenty of people like that in this world because I hear those things, which I don't understand. I wasn't raised that way. But it's the same way. The PCA is about a family getting together and supporting each other. And one of the things I know with Fuente, and I'm sure you mentioned Padron and everything, Fuente doesn't really take orders at the PCA. We don't need to go. We go to hug people and to build relationships and to be able to add value to our lives through hugs and getting to know people better. I knew just about everybody, every retailer personally. I knew their wives' names. And over the last years, I'm meeting new people. I'm meeting a lot of people from the press who are becoming dear, dear, dear friends of mine. I'm meeting influencers who go to these events. But where's all those retailers I was hugging? I'm not saying out of sight, out of mind, but they have to really support. If they love what they're doing, if the industry has been good to them, or if they even believe a little bit in saving an industry, they need to support, attend physically and support financially in any way they can. If not, you can't blame the PCA alone. Everything takes money and it takes support. And we see less and less people supporting and dividing and going separate ways and creating controversy and things. I've learned in the previous years watching the news that controversy is sometimes stimulated or instigated by power so they could remain powerful. And, you learn a lot watching the news when you see world events. I don't want, for us as an industry to be a day late, a dollar short. And we have to bring excitement to the PCA. And remember, it's all about family hugs, getting together, not about the deals. You can get the deals anytime you want if the company is desperate. They have so many cigars in stock, they got to give deals. That's a different story. I respect that. But anyway, the phone's ringing and fuck you, don't bother me, and whatever it is, I just close the phone. But anyway, it's all good. Love you guys.
Yamilet, a question. We have seen in the last, women have always smoked cigars. That's a fact. But we have seen the evolution in the events, in the shops, in the lounges, how women nowadays are smoking just more cigars than ever. And there's a lot of them that know just as much about cigars than men do and can really, and I can testify because I've done thousands and thousands of seminars, and sometimes a couple of women in the room have made all the men look like fools. So what I would like to hear is your thoughts on the role of the women today.
I love it. I love that women can go out and smoke cigars. I see it in the festivals. So many women, single, they don't go with their partners or anything. I love that they go out and they're not intimidated like they used to be. Because before, I remember going to cigar shops and they were intimidated about going in there and so many men smoking cigars. Now they're not. Now they go in there and they rule the room, or they take over. And I love that. And I mean, just last week, I was showing people how to smoke, like women, how to smoke cigars, and they kind of loved it. We left the island of Curacao and they were sending me pictures of them smoking, you know, at a cigar lounge there. So I really like that that's happening. I don't know. I really love it. I really do. And I love to go to a cigar shop and see women alone or a group of women smoking cigars. I mean, they have events like that all the time where it's just all women. And I think it's great.
Yeah, I think there's a movement, obviously, in the cigar business when it comes to women, and you're seeing it more and more. And so I agree with that. It's not just the festivals, but it's on day to day. You walk into a cigar shop in any city, and yeah, you'll find several women in the cigar shop
maybe
smoking
with
cigars.
their friends, just hanging out. I've had a friend that lives in Atlanta, and she sends me pictures, and I'm like, "Where's your husband?" She's like, "Oh no, he's not here." I'm like, "No." She's like, "No, it's me and my girlfriends. We're having a cigar night." I'm like, "I love that."
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. The evolution of the role of women in cigars. Obviously, women have always been a part of it, like Jose said. You know, from the harvesting and
I was just gonna say from the factory.
Yeah, from the seed beds and the sorting. Obviously, women are an integral part of the business, because without the women's eyeballs, you know, all of our cigar boxes look like they have different colors. They look like a rainbow, right? So, as we know, women have more shades that they can see than men on average. So their job in sorting and things like that is incredibly important in cigars. They also have much more delicate hands, so they're able to treat the tobacco without breaking it. So the role of a woman in the cigar business has always been important, but it's mostly been behind the scenes.
Now
on the consumer side, you see tons of them, and so that's a very exciting development in the last few years.
Shout out to all the girls, to all the ladies.
That is true, and we've always said, the women have las manos de seda, silk hands. So when you see that, they're working with the wrappers and the binders, you see the way they handle it. But not only that, when we're doing the quality control on the table, looking at the cigars, sorting them out by colors, and trying to find any imperfection on it, it's women that are doing it 98% of the time.
Yeah. What about you, Jeremiah? What about?
Wait. Hold it. I'm sorry to interrupt you. No. I go like this to the Godfather, the guy, because he's behind the cockpit. I don't know why he names it the cockpit, but
Eric, I'm gonna answer your question with Jose and Carlito around. I don't have much opportunity to say much of anything.
Bro, it's the program is called Fuente Meerapfel meets the professor. I'm always thrown. I'm like the little kid in the back room. Teacher. Now what in the F were we talking about? Because I wanted to, before they interrupted me. It was important.
We're talking about the role of women in the industry.
Yes, of course. I just want to see if you're listening. Of course. Let me just say something. Jamile, you're absolutely right. Eric, you're absolutely right. Women have always been involved, but not because of their delicate hands, because of their strong backbone. Even with the men who have taken leadership visually in front of a company, I guarantee you there was a strong woman behind them. I'm using my mother, for example. I'm using my grandmother, and I'm sure with your family and everybody's family. But our best cigar makers are women. I'm not saying they're the best of the best because men, but it has nothing to do with gender. Nothing to do with gender. It has to do with the personal passion, the love, the commitment, the pride that somebody has in what they are performing in their craft. But I tell you one thing, you're absolutely right about women joining. And I tell you, I was listening to Johnny Led and all this stuff about all these women clubs and everything. And I try to follow all of it. If I see a women club with women, I join. I'm waiting for them to invite me. Listen, I know it's become this might not be politically correct. Jeremiah might be calling me with a big draft or whatever and all these people. but it's become very popular for you to change genders. And if it takes for me to become a woman to be invited in a women's cigar club, bro, tomorrow I'm going to find the best freaking surgeon in the country.
Well, listen, Eric, you asked me a question earlier on. Actually, does somebody have two devices which are on at the same time?
It has to be, brother, because I hear an echo.
There is a terrible echo. Hold on.
Oh, we know it. It was
gone.
Jose. I knew it all the time. Look at him. Look at him. He went on mute.
It was Jose.
Yeah, it was.
It?
You know what it is? He lives too close to Russia.
No, look, I have my microphone on. I don't have anything on.
There's no more echo. No more echo. So whatever you touch, be careful.
Right,
after the program's over, have somebody do some swipes and check everything in your house. Okay. Take it from an old man.
They're probably checking in on you, Carlito, because you've been very.
Oh, I know they are, man. I know they are.
All right. Who is it that didn't take his medication tonight, huh?
Carlito, of course. He never takes it. Listen, Eric, and
thanks for reminding me. I appreciate it. Jose every day writes me, "Did you take your medication?" I say, Jose, thank you for reminding me.
See, the echo's back again. It doesn't matter. Listen, Eric and Yamilet, this question's for both of you. What do you think today is the biggest threat our industry has?
Jose Blanco.
No, I mean, I think that, there's obviously some issues with the packaging, right? The issues that we've seen lately, right? But it's all about the regulation. I think regulation is the biggest threat. Over-regulation is never good for any industry, right? There's some amount of regulation that's needed, but the over-regulation of a business is I think the biggest threat to the cigar business. I don't think there's any environmental factors or any other factors that are damaging to the business like over-regulation, right? I think we can talk about shortages, we could talk about all these other things, but the business will always adjust to those things. But regulation and the over-regulation of it, I think that, that's like if you look, for example, you look at a country like Spain, right? Spain was a country that was a big cigar market, big premium cigar market. And they've over-regulated them to death there. And so now, for example, if someone subscribes to to our magazine in Spain, they can't receive the magazine at their home, right? It has to be sent to a club. And so that's a problem. So consumers can't get a legal consumer product that is being marketed in a publication. They can't receive that publication as a private consumer. And so that regulation over time has really killed the cigar market in Spain. And we can look at just that one little country, not so little, but we can look at that country and that market and what that overregulation has done to the cigar business in that market. And we can kind of extrapolate that and see what it would do to the rest of the world. And so, yeah, I do think that overregulation is the single biggest threat, right? And that's why PCA is so important, which, to Carlito's point, that's why it's so important that we support PCA, which we always have, but we have to find a way, PCA has to find a way to make it where the store wants to support it and doesn't have to go into that headspace of, oh, let me help PCA because PCA helps me. Not everyone does that math, okay? And that's the reality of it. Not everyone goes down plays that chess game down the line like that. So PCA has to do something to make the show attractive for retailers to come. In the past, it was deals. Maybe there's a different way that we can do that nowadays. I don't know. But PCA has to do something to make the show more exciting so that more people come and there's more money to defend the business from overregulation. So we've come a little full circle, right? The biggest threat is regulation and our biggest ally is PCA. So we need to find a way to support PCA. And if the best way to do that is through the show, then we have to make the show better. If the best way to do that is a different avenue, well, then we have to entertain that avenue also, right? So I think that we've trained the cigar business and the cigar retailers to go to over time to attend the PCA because of the deals. And that's That's a training that happened over years and years and years since the beginning of the show. And so maybe the best way for the retailer to help PCA, it may not be the show. It may be a different avenue. We have to explore that. I know that the show PCA is the single biggest fundraiser for PCA. We have to maybe find other avenues so that can happen, or make the show better. I think it's one of those two things, because the biggest threat is overregulation.
You're absolutely right, Eric. I agree. You're absolutely right. I know Jose doesn't want to hear me speak, but it's so true. Regulation is the biggest threat. And lately I've seen personal control of certain products and brands, very loose, very confrontational. I don't want to mention anything, just from what I hear back and all the letters I see and people reaching out to me, that could bring the whole industry down. And you're absolutely right. The FDA could really bring us down. You mentioned Spain, regulation. Regulation won't only be for cigars. It'll be for communications. It'll be for ashtrays. Yep. It could be for labels. Imagine the expense when you have to spend, depending on the size of your company, millions of dollars to comply with regulation. How much will cigars cost? It's the same thing. Listen, I talked about earlier about watching the news. If you watch the news and you see the big, powerful players, we're just one bean in a big bowl of rice, but we're affected the same way. By the way, I found out that the echoes on my part, because when I put on my mute, it didn't come out, but there's nobody here in this building. So it could be, maybe somebody's checking you through me. But anyway, we do have to find a way to bring excitement back to the PCA. And I've said it over and over again, man. I've said it over. I've tried. I've reached out to Coffee, the Boutique Association, good friend of mine who I admire a lot, who's been on our show. Man, get the boutique guys together. I spoke to the board of the PCA to give them a special price. They want to come. I don't know what happened, but I really believe for our industry to be able to survive, every young entrepreneur, everybody comes in with new ideas and everything that fits within the rules of what the government insists of us. Then I welcome everybody. I think everybody should go to the show. Everybody should get to know each other. Everybody should become one family, the way it was many years ago that you described.
Yeah, definitely. But going back, and Eric mentioned the packaging. I mean, the packaging that has to stop, because if it doesn't stop, it's a big bullseye for the FDA. But we will see in the next couple of weeks what happens. Thursday is going to be a very important day for the industry to see the report from the science. That group that was by the FDA to come up with some ideas, some regulations, what could be, what cannot be. So we will be very expecting that tomorrow to see what the group has to say. Do we have Rich, Jeremiah?
We have the honor of having Rich.
Okay, so I think, yes.
The question is, are we ready for Rich?
We're always ready for Rich.
All right, let's give Rich a shot. Rich, are you ready for us? Let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Rich's Riot.
Hey, I'm here. I got on a little late. My lady that cuts my hair came to the house a little bit late, but I made it for the show because I didn't want to miss these people. I don't think I've ever met them. Really? I've never been invited to be a centerfold on the magazine, but one of these days they'll do a special on crazy guys that have 200 plus Paisley shirts. Early on, Eric was talking about excitement at the shows, and I remember a show a couple of years ago that there was a lot of excitement because everyone kept asking him, "Where's your sister? Where's your sister? Where's your sister?" I had to get him a badge to put on his shirt that said, "She's not here." And that goes into Carlito's "Everybody Wants a Hug" at the show. And hopefully you both will be there this year at the show. Just before I got on, I was reading some magazine that I steal from a local cigar shop, and happened to notice the top 25 cigars, and the number, which is a very special number. It's one of my lucky, well, it is my lucky number, as my wife will tell you, and it is for a friend of mine. But your number 13 cigar is the Don Carlos number 3. It was your number 13 cigar, and it commemorates not only Don Carlos, but also the wrapper on there from the Meerapfel family. So today's story, he said, is I got this young lady that teaches 5th grade across the street from us, and she was having problems with the boys in her class. One day she's in class, and one of the kids starts to laugh, and she says, "What's the problem?" And the kid goes, "I see your bra strap." She says, "That's inappropriate. Go down to the principal's office. You're out of school for a week. Just go down there and you're finished." Well, the kid gets and leaves the classroom, and a few minutes later she leans over on her desk, and another kid starts to giggle. She says, "What's the problem with you?" He says, "I was looking down your blouse." She said, "Oh, yeah? Okay. You to the principal's office. You're gone for 2 weeks." And she gets up and starts writing on the blackboard and drops the chalk and bends over to pick up the piece of chalk. And the third kid gets up and starts to leave the classroom. She says, "Where are you going?" He says, "I think my education is finished."
Now we sound like a bunch of dirty old men. Come on, let's do this. Well done, Rich. Thank you very much. That was beautiful.
I don't know if you see my green screen, Carlito.
Hey, Jasper!
That was a good one, Rich.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Rich. Amazing.
Eric, we could not finish this show without mentioning 2 things. When the FDA started with all these regulations and everything, you guys did a cover on the magazine that is, I think that everybody in the industry, even many of your competitors, said that that was a brilliant idea. Tell us about that. What was the inspiration to do the cover on that magazine? Because that was a very strong message. And I remember that show that everybody talked about products. This company's coming out with that, but everybody would mention. Did you see the cover of Cigar Snob?
Yeah, that was, it's I think our single most successful issue ever. And so the thing was, we started brainstorming here. Ivan, who produces all of the photo shoots, we always, again, brainstorm what are we going to do for a shoot. And then the news is coming out about the warning labels and the things. And he just has that aha moment and he goes, "I got it. We're going to do a cover where the girl is fully nude and we're just going to cover her with warning labels." And it was like everyone in the room just went silent, like, okay, that's genius, And it worked out beautifully. The model, when we booked her, we didn't book her for that kind of shoot. We booked her for a completely different shoot. In fact, it was I won't name the cigar company, but there was a cigar company sponsoring the shoot. And we decided, let's do this shoot with no sponsor, because I think that it's more important to just get this message out and have it be timely at the trade show that year at the PCA. Back then it was IPCPR. And so he had that idea. And so we had to, now normally we're pitching a photo shoot sponsorship to a cigar company. And for this one, we and this is the one that they're talking about. Thank you, Chuck. And so normally we have to pitch the photo shoot to the cigar company. And on this one, it was pitching it to the modeling agency. It's like, "Hey, I know we don't normally do nudes, but we're going to do a nude, but this is what we're doing." And luckily they bought in, and the model bought in, and we shot the whole thing on that in studio with a gray background. And it was such a huge success. Here's some more of it for you guys. It was it was just a bombshell that year at the trade show.
And people kept trying to peel the labels.
Yeah, well, the guys at the printer, which is pretty funny, the pre-press, when the magazine's going to go into pre-press, these guys get the files in layers. So the guys at the printer were taking the labels off and looking at it. Guy at the end of the day, a bunch of guys, right? So, but yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That issue is always talked about. Whenever there's a gathering of people and we're talking FDA stuff, everyone always brings up the raw deal. That's what we called that issue. So yeah,
I was just about to ask you to send me the PSD files.
You wanna, huh? Yeah. Yeah, that was a good day at the office that day.
Definitely. And to be honest, it was a strong message that all of us in the industry appreciated, because it's what could really happen if we don't pay attention and protect this industry that we love so much. I'm going to ask one last question, and I know Carlito has something to say, and also Jeremiah. And this is a question to Yamilet. Yamilet, I know you love your brother. You've been together for many years. How hard is it for you to convince Eric on something that you know that you're right?
That's a little hard. That's hard.
Yeah.
When he says his mind on something, forget it. There's no, that's not easy to do.
Yeah, the term cabezón isn't just because of the size of my cabeza.
Yeah, that's not easy. We get along great. We love working together, but I cannot change his mind about stuff.
You need to come with some really good arguments. I'm willing to listen.
I think he would have been a lawyer if he wouldn't have done like computers and the magazine.
Nah.
Yeah.
Definitely. One thing I do have to mention, because first of all, thank you for being there, but we cannot do a show without mentioning somebody that in the beginning was very, very close to you, which is a mutual friend of all of us that are on this show today, which is Manny Irarte. Manny Irarte, I know it's more than a brother to you guys. I know you guys still keep in touch. And he had to move on to other things. But I know that in Cigar Snob magazine, there's a little piece of Manny Irarte there. So I wanted to do this.
We have him on the wall.
Mention him.
Yeah.
But yeah, Manny, the funny story about Manny is when he first started shooting cigars, he was doing it as a hobby, just playing around at home. And he worked at a gym as a part-time like personal trainer. And so I would play dominoes every Friday night with, some of you guys will know him, Angel Elizalde from ASP, and Jose Oliva and Carlos Oliva. So we played dominoes every single Friday night. We would get together, and it was Jose and me against Carlos Oliva and Angel Elizalde in dominoes every single Friday night. And so one Friday, Angel tells me, "Coño, Eric, I met this guy at the gym who's a trainer, and he's taking pictures, and he takes these beautiful pictures of cigars." And I told him that my friend has a cigar magazine. And so I said, "Yeah, give me the guy's number. I'd love to meet him and talk." And so Manny, we set up a meeting. Manny loved Starbucks. I think he still loves Starbucks, but he loved Starbucks. So we meet at a Starbucks, and he comes with his portfolio of pictures that he's taken. And I said, "Dude, let's go. And from that day forward, Manny shot everything in the magazine except the fashion shoots. Manny would go on every trip, every travel story, every ratings, everything. So yeah, Manny we're still, I mean, I was at his birthday the other day. I mean, we're still very, very close. So thank you for bringing him up. Is that Jasper back there?
Yeah.
I was going to say give him a hug, but you just did. So,
yeah, I know. But anyway, from my part, guys, Yamilet, Eric, wishing you all the best. Thank you for all the support.
No, man,
and for everything you do for the industry. And I look forward to see you guys at the PCA show this year. God willing. Thank you. Carlito.
A big hug.
Wow. No, I think I'm just very grateful. I think it's been a great show. It's been a lot of fun. You notice that we talked about different things, but we mostly talked about relationships and friendships and everything. And I just want to say, aside from the success of your company, which doesn't change anything that I feel in my heart, And you mentioned a brother, Manny Diaz. It was through Manny that we became such what I consider both of you very, very special friends. And it was never about the business. It was never about the cigars. It was never about a placement. It was never about a rating. It was about the building of a friendship, which I'm most grateful for, and getting to meet a family, because it's not you two alone, the entire family. And we got to include Ramon, okay? Because probably my daughter is watching, and but just you guys are really people that I have been blessed to learn, to love. I love dearly. And I just want to say thank you for accepting the invitation, and continue success. And hopefully we keep running to each other as much as humanly possible to give you that once again hug that is from the heart every time. And I know you don't have to call me. You don't have to speak to me. You don't have to wish me happy birthday. I know where your heart's at. Son buena gente y lo quiero mucho.
You know how we feel about you, buddy. You know it. So we don't have to. You don't have to. No. We don't have to make her cry right now.
No.
But because she will cry. But I know they are. So, but you know how we feel about you, Carlito, and Jose and Jeremiah. But yeah, Carlito, the friendship that we've developed through Manny over the years, man, we treasure it. And again, like you said, it's not about the business. It's not about any of those things that we do together. It's about the friendships and those hugs, like we did at the Great Smoke.
That's
right?
True. Yeah, absolutely.
We hug, and I mean, there was a bunch of you were still in the DR, but at the Great Smoke, it's funny because I see you, I run up and give you, and there's a bunch of people trying to talk, and it's like, and it's a big hug because we see each other a handful of times throughout the year. And,
there's heart,
so,
there's feelings.
Yeah, man. So
and it's sincere.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Quiero, a los dos. Love you all.
Love you, man. The silent Jeremiah comes back.
Well, I'm looking at a brother and a sister and a brother, and we don't know each other very well. In fact, I know very little about you, but when I just sit here and witness the way your sister's looking at you and the relationship that you have, I think that says more than any words. I can clearly see and understand what kind of people you are, and that says enough to me. I look really forward to meeting you at the next PCA show in Vegas.
Yes.
Sharing a cigar with the both of you. Jamilet and Eric, it was a true honor having you on our show today.
No, man. Honor was ours,
yes,
for sure.
It was. Thank you 100%. For having us.
I'm looking forward to being with you very, very soon.
Absolutely.
Don't go anywhere. We're just going to wrap up the show. Ladies and gentlemen, this was another incredible episode of the Fuente and Meerapfel Meet the Professor. If you would like to watch the show again, please do so on our YouTube channel. Let's bring up the link here. It's tinyurl.com/The Professor Show. tinyurl.com/The Professor Show. You can watch all of these episodes, and in particular, this very, very special one, where we have the family that runs one of the finest magazines in our industry, bringing to you information, education, and making sure that everybody's up to date in a very special, educative, and romantic way, Cigar Snob magazine. Until next time, remember to take care of yourselves and of each other. And if you don't do it with passion, don't do it at all. Bye-bye for now. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Very, very